Good afternoon. You guys are good, bringing the sound down a little bit here. So my name is Dennis. I'm a good friend of Jeff. I've worked with Jeff for quite a few years, and I'm going to miss him. But we have some really good things in store for him this afternoon. There's a few housekeeping issues we need to bring up. Is that if you want to do any card writing at the end or speak into something like a video, to say something, you can do that, and then that will be assembled as a kind of a scrapbook, and the video, of course, will be put together and then given to the family. So cell phones. If you can put your cell phone on silent or something else with it, don't give it to me, because I might sell them. And the family is going to enter very shortly, but we thought, we'll just bring the noise level down a little bit and see how everybody's feeling. It has been a bit of a rough week. Yeah. It's a full house. So on behalf of Brenda and the family and many of his good friends who are present here, I want to welcome you here. And I want to encourage you to just go through this process. It's for all of us a little differently. For some of us, it's much deeper than for others, but don't shortcut the process of just processing this time, okay? So we took care of the cell phone issue. Everybody has their cell phone off. That's absolutely fabulous. So we have a bit of a program, although what is the word program lined up? You can sit down, yeah. I also want to welcome all those who are online. I'm at least aware of about 50 people who are online watching this, probably more. And basically also, it's been sent out all over the place, and I know there's people in the States, even far up north, who are watching this, and any other places. I'm not going to say too much about my relationship with Jeff. The only thing I can tell you is that he was a mentor to me. He was 61. I'm much older than he is, but I learned a lot from him. And today shows that actually he is that guy who I aspire to become in regards to the number of people who actually are here and want to pay tribute to him. So I told you about basically the writing cards in the video. possibilities afterwards. Please stay afterwards, because we do want to connect with you, and the family may want to connect with you too. I want to call up Henry.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm Henry Wiebe, a friend of Jeff and family in Metro for a good number of years. It is my honored privilege to officially welcome you all here on behalf of Brenda and the family. Did you folks know that you were this much of an effect in this community to fill this place up? Thanks for coming. It's just great to see this place full this afternoon. Well, we're here to celebrate the life of Jeff, a faithful, loving husband and grateful dad to 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. Jeff was a model servant of his Savior Jesus Christ and a true friend to all who knew him. I believe he followed what the prophet Micah said. What does God want of us? Do what is right, love mercy, and walk humbly with him. That describes Jeff. When I read that verse this past week, I said, that's it. That's what motivated him to be what he was, right? And I want to read 1 Thessalonians 4, 13 to 18, that familiar portion that is often read in times like this, but I'm reading it in the First Nations version. It was so Jeff's heart to honor our Indigenous friends and their culture here at Metro. 1 Thessalonians 4, 13 to 18. Now, my sacred family members, we want you to understand what will happen to those who have walked on, so that you will not be filled with sorrow like the others who have no hope. We believe that Creator sets free, that's Jesus, died and rose again. We can be just as sure that the Great Spirit will, along with him, bring back to life those who, when they died, were trusting in him. What we are telling you comes from the words of our honored chief. We who remain alive until his coming will not come face to face with him ahead of the ones who have walked on, for our honored chief himself will come down from the spirit world above with a war cry. The voice of the chief spirit messenger will join with him, and the eagle bone whistle will sound. First, the ones who died, trusting in the chosen one, will rise. Then, together with them, we who have remained alive will be taken up into the clouds to meet our honored chief in the air. Then we will always be with him. Use these words to lift up each other's hearts. End of that reading. Let's pray. Father God of all comfort, in Jesus' name, we run into the depths of your presence. You meet us fully in our grief. You receive us fully in all our emotion. We know where Jeff is, and we look forward to seeing him again. Thank you, God, for your presence and comforting peace. You are our hope. Amen.
That leads us to the following thing. We're going to acknowledge the land we're on, and the reason why we're doing this because Jeff was a real stickler to make sure that we would honor those people who have been there. So we're going to put it on the screen, and then we're going to read it. If you like to read with me, that would be fabulous. We acknowledge the Salic people in whose unceded territory we live. We honor their connection to the land, respect the traditions, and are grateful for their careful and continuous stewardship. And like Henry said, I'm extremely honored to be here. And what happened this week is still a blur in many ways. But we're going to have some people sharing things. And if I'm correct, then somebody will be showing a video first.
Hi, my name's Craig Bisset, and for the past 30 years, I have had the honor and the privilege of calling Jeff Simla a friend. And I'm so sorry that I could not attend the celebration of life with all of you in person. So please accept this short video as part of your remembrance of Mr. Jeff Simla. Brenda, on behalf of Kathy and our family, we are so deeply saddened by the loss of Jeff. Since we heard the news of Jeff's passing, we have continually lifted you and the family up in prayer. And Kathy and I, we were traveling when we received the news about Jeff. And as with all of you, we felt like we were kicked in the stomach. Since then, I've had a few days to reflect on the special relationship I had with my friend Jeff. And it's said that a man in his lifetime rarely has more than a handful of friends that can be categorized as, quote, a true close friend. And for most of us, it could even be just 2 or 3 friends. For me, Jeff was one of these special friends. A friendship that started off during a business transaction. Over 30 years ago, our family was living in Kelowna, and I was looking to create a unique advertising message through the local newspaper for the business I was in. And I called up the Daily Courier, and they sent over a young man who took on a special interest in my advertising idea. And that young man was Jeff Simla. After Jeff and I had finished discussing this advertising project, I simply asked Jeff how he was doing and if he ever had any interest in the spiritual side of life. And that question moved us into an hour-long conversation about Jesus Christ. The next day, Jeff called me at the office and asked me to come over and talk to his wife, Brenda, about the things we had been discussing about in my office. Specifically, this idea of having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Many times over the years, I've questioned the reason Kathy and I moved to Kelowna. The answer always comes back to these heavenly appointed encounters with Jeff and others. During our time in Kelowna, Jeff and I started up a small business called Encouragement Marketing. And the business was based on a program I had developed called Words of Encouragement and another product called Financial Planning and You. And Jeff and I developed this business together. And I actually dug up some of the programs that we had developed the other day. And boy, did it bring back memories. It flooded me with memories of developing the product alongside Jeff. I always marveled at Jeff's creative flair, his meticulous eye for detail, and his incredible work ethic. Myself, Kathy, and my family moved back to Toronto in 1996, but our relationship, Jeff's and our relationship, didn't end there. In fact, it seemed to grow even stronger, even though we were now located on opposite ends of the country. Over the years, Jeff and I have had countless conversations on the phone, through Zoom, or even riding the chairlift while I was on vacation in Kelowna. And these conversations were not your typical phone call to catch up, but rather they were typically revolving around family, making some business decisions, or our mutual desire to challenge each other in our spiritual walk with Christ. What better way to nurture and grow a friendship than to talk about things that truly matter in our lives? Now, Carly and Kayla, I don't have to tell you how proud Jeff was of both of you. I can still remember the excitement in Jeff's voice when we talked about each of you getting married and then going on to have children of your own. Oh, Jeff was so proud to be a papa. He sent me a picture of himself dressed up as Santa and often shared with me how much he enjoyed the stage of life he was in particularly his role as a papa. Carly and Kayla, always be purposeful and intentional in keeping Jeff's life and memory alive in your children. As they grow up, continually remind them of how much Papa Jeff loved them. And Brenda, we've known each other over the many years now, and I don't have to tell you the love and respect Jeff had for you. Once the grandchildren came along, Jeff would tell me how you were such a wonderful grandmother and how being a mom and now a grandmother was your true calling in life. My four boys and I get together weekly to talk about life, usually for an hour over Zoom. And we were talking the other day about Jeff, and all of them had such great respect and great memories of Jeff. And one of my boys asked me a question during our call, and the question was, what's the one thing that stands out about your relationship with Jeff? And without hesitation, I said, it was how God brought us together so Jeff could meet Jesus, and then to watch Jeff's gifts being used to impact his family and his community. Every time I would visit Jeff in Kelowna over the last few years, he would proudly walk me through the Metro ministry and passionately talk of the impact his team was having on the community. The hungry were being fed, the marginalized were being cared for, the abused women were being protected, and so much more. And Jeff did this happily, leading from behind the scenes. Mother Teresa once said, at the end of life, we will not be judged by how many diplomas we have received, how much money we've made, how many things and how the things that we've done, but we will be judged by, I was hungry and you gave me to eat. I was naked and you clothed me. I was homeless and you took me in. These words sound like my friend Jeff. I'm going to dearly miss those visits and conversations with Jeff. However, I am confident in this one thing. Because Jesus lives, we can all face tomorrow. Brenda, Carly, Kayla, and your families, may the Lord bless you, comfort you. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of Jeff's celebration of life.
That was great. So what we're going to do is you're not going to see me up that much anymore. We're just going to go down the list of very well-respected individuals who knew Jeff really well. And then we have some music, and then we have the family also coming up and saying certain words to us. And then we'll take it from there, all right? So the next person is Ron Cannon.
Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for being here and online. I know it means a great deal to Brenda and the family. As mentioned, my name is Ron Cannon, and I'm humbled and honored to have been asked to share a few thoughts about Jeff and 30 plus years of friendship. It's going to be hard to do in a few minutes, however, I'll do my best. I just also wanted to, before I speak, acknowledge a couple of special guests from the community and the impact that Jeff had in their lives. For Mayor Dias, my council colleague Maxine DeHart, Councillor Luke Stack, and our MP Tracy Gray and her husband Larry. Thanks for being here as well. Wow, do you remember where you were last Saturday morning? Oh, I was on Burns Lake celebrating the birth of our 5th grandchild. Our youngest daughter and her husband are RCMP officers in Burns Lakes, and they had their first son, James. I think maybe you might be even listening right now. Wow. Brenda called me the next morning and talked about an emotional roller coaster. She said, "Are you sitting down? I got some terrible news to share with you." I said, "No, don't tell me. I just felt in my spirit something happened. Horrific, shocked, dumbfounded, dazed, confused, surreal. You know, the reality is just a few hours before that, the night before, actually, Jeff called me. We talked for about half an hour. He shared about how his mom just passed away a few days earlier. Condolences also to Larry, family, and yeah, just it was a great conversation. Shared about how his new job's going, and he's really excited about helping the First Nations community and prosper and be sustainable. And you know, it was overall a variety of things, talking nothing more about love for his children, his grandchildren. He's giving me a hard time because we both had 4 grandchildren, now I got a 5th one, so we're not competitive. Jeff was never competitive, all right, so got him on that one. And of course, shared with my wife Cindy was actually in the room too, so we talked a little bit, and he says, well, I gotta go, I gotta make supper for Brenda, and said I love you, and hung up the phone, but never did I realize that would be a divine call that it was. Oh, Jeff and I, you know, he was a real practical joker. And we first actually met in 1992 at the Hair for Men's Convention. Just kidding, that's one of Jeff's, you know, good lines. He always said he had more hair than me, you know. I don't know if you saw some of those pictures out there of his impersonation of Sonny Bono. Anybody, those young people out there, you go Google Sonny Bono and picture of Jeff, you know, his mustache. And of course, his chest hairs. He, you know, what can I say about that? He definitely outshone me there, but, you know, thanks to his good friend, Dr. Cam Bacala and staff, they were able to help him out in that area as well. So. We did actually meet in 1992. We were working together at the Daily Courier just down the block. We worked together for almost 5 years. And over the years, our relationship grew even closer. And thanks, Craig, for that great testimony and your ability to help Jeff come give his life to Christ. And we were on strike for a while, and part of their strike responsibility had to have a 4-hour shift. So we'd walk around St. Paul, Bertram, all around this area for 4 hours, and Jeff had all kinds of questions about the Bible, about Jesus, and started talking about music, and he had a guitar, and I encouraged him, I should get playing again. So over time, he got calluses back in his fingers, and I'm a bit of an amateur drummer, nothing like Zach, the son-in-law here, and we would come over and just have some Jesus Jam nights. It was great. Over the years, Brenda, Cindy, Jeff, and myself, and they had 2 daughters. We had 3 daughters. We did a lot of good times together, pool parties, family vacations. We went to Hawaii, San Francisco, of course, the Creation Fest in the Gorge in George Washington. It was very memorable. And basically, it's different people have different memories of Jeff, and he impacted them all in different ways. And I know in our children, it's the same thing. But some of you out here, one of Jeff's happiest times when he was outdoors enjoying and experiencing God's amazing creation. Whether it be the first up at Big White to carve into that fresh powder, or on the Okanagan Lake, casting his rod and bringing in a rainbow, or send me some pictures last month of some of the huge catch-and-release sturgeon. I know some people might have been in the room with him last week at the Fraser River, or last month. So one other thing, though, you can't think about Jeff's passion for mountain biking. You know, a friend Tom just came up from Comox, and there's Greg, you'll hear from in a minute, a cycling enthusiast. And there's nobody I've ever seen get so excited about mountain biking in a coffee shop. You grab a napkin, and you can noodle all in the napkin, this trail and that trail, whether it's Smith Creek or Crawford or Rose Valley, whatever it's. And I think he's probably stayed up at night. Tom was saying, like, he was the first one. He was the leader of the pack. And I did go cycling a few times up in the mountains with him, and there's a picture up there. But I guess I'm a year older than Jeff, and I don't know if I'm any wiser, but I just said, I'm not going to challenge anymore after I just went head over heels over the handlebars into the bush up in, I think, Weldon one time. So I stayed a little closer. I gravitated to an e-bike. So stayed on the asphalt. Oh, Jeff loved family, especially his beloved grandchildren brought him so much joy. His birthday was April 11th, and on April 12th, he sent me a text. The grandkids really loved birthdays, felt loved, really loved, onward and upwards. Each day, each week, each month, and year is a gift. Oh, love Jeff's positive attitude. As Craig said, he always had positive words of encouragement for me, and it was part of his encouragement marketing company, and then he moved on to your dollar store and more. Oh, he's well connected, always wearing a smile and ready for a conversation. As one person said, he's just one of the good guys who was straight out of Rutland. Born and raised here in Kelowna, and he loved this community. He wasn't afraid to roll up his sleeves and often volunteer his time. Speaking with my council colleague, Luke Stack, who was the executive director for Society of Hope for, I think, over 25 years. And Jeff was on the board for about a decade or more, and some of that time he was the president or chair of the board. And he did a great job, and he was not only a people person, but a man of integrity and strong work ethic. It's one of those guys, if you wanted something done, you could call him and he would get it done. See, he was focused on details many times and perfectionist in some cases. Anal, I would say. Got a family nod there. So Luke, as he said, he was the executive director, and they worked closely. And Jeff served for almost a board, and eventually became part of the staff here at Metro. And I think a lot of those skills that he inherited as a board director, he was able to incorporate into his role here at Metro. And I think this building here is a testament to his leadership, organizational skills, perseverance, and prayer. Well, by the way, when I was talking to Jeff last week, he said before you leave, you wouldn't mind if you would all chip in and pay off the building. Just, that was his passion. He wanted to get that thing paid off. But yeah, he was full of life and love and compassion, empathy. He was a good listener, a skill that I've been told that many men lack. What'd you say, dear? Seriously, whether a personal or spiritual matter, whether you were the CEO of a company or living on the streets, he made time for you. That's who Jeff was. Oh, Henry, you just took the words out of my mouth there in your introduction here. It says, I was reading from Isaiah the same thing. God calls us to act justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly. And Jeff had such a huge heart for the homeless, offering them a hand up and not necessarily a handout. He had no time for injustice. He was a peacemaker, didn't like conflict. He has this unique ability to use his sense of humor to bring calmness to the situation as everyone worked to find a resolution. I think Pastor Joel and the group in the back will sentiments about that. He loved people, and so many people loved him. And he was a leader wrapped in humility. Speaking with City of Kelowna staff last Saturday when the news, a bomb dropped, Jeff suddenly passed. They said Jeff was that unsung hero over there in Metro. The guy in the back working hard, organizing, and making sure all the details were taken care of. He was never looking for recognition. A humble servant you were, Jeff. So as we gather today to reflect and grieve the loss of our dear friend, Jeff, I just want us to let us know to use this time to remember and recognize what really is important, in our lives, as our family, our loved ones, how we live together, and what we're living for. This can also be a time of comfort if we embrace the gift of tomorrow by believing in and trusting Jesus Christ today for the hope he provides us for tomorrow and eternity. Jeff will be deeply missed, however. We know that we'll be seeing him again soon. He is now with Jesus, so let's rejoice for him. We continue to follow Jesus until we all meet again, and what a glorious day that will be. Our heartfelt condolences to you, Brenda, and your family. Well done, good and faithful servant Jeff. Until we meet again, my friend, I love you. God bless.
Next person is Greg Bauer.
Thank you. I had to write it down. I thought I could wing it, but how come Ron got to stand up there? I don't know. This isn't so bad. Although I could hide my chicken scratch. This is better. Linda and I were driving home from a 3-week holiday when a friend of mine called and told us we better pull over. It was, as Ron said, shocking. I met Jeff when he ran his own marketing company, the encouragement marketing that's been mentioned so many times already. And thinking about it now, I never thought about it before, but that was a very fitting name for a company that Jeff was involved in. I only knew Jeff from a very narrow sliver of the breadth of his life. Like he affected so many people, and on the mountain, I was a mountain biker with Jeff for many, many, many years. I learned so much about all of you through those years because that's all he talked about every chapter of his life, whether it was helping Aruba spas with their marketing to he moved on to Dollar Store and the years he spent there. These are my problems. What are we going to do? I had my own business, and he was a continuous coach. I got free coaching for so many years on the mountain bike trails in the areas that I was able to catch my breath. He loved the Crawford trails, and he talked about how he'd been riding up there since he was a kid. And like others have said here, he seemed to lay around and think about how he can connect all the most difficult parts of that mountain, and then he would drag whoever was riding with him up the hill and encourage them to keep going. And it was amazing how he could take a string of very difficult trails and string them into 2 hours of, for me it was torture, it always was. But yet, from the top of that mountain, so many points on the mountain, Crawford specifically I'm talking about, he figured out how to give anyone who was riding with him, including me, at least an hour of just ripping fun down to the parking lot. And I'm gonna miss that the most, I think, because you could drop Jeff blindfolded on any point of Crawford, and he would know exactly where he is and what the best route to take would be. Usually the hardest, but there would also always have to be some fun. I spent yesterday reading some of the dozens of condolences that I found online. And it really, really was comforting for me, selfishly, because all I can think about is, what am I going to do now? Like, how am I going to find my way around that mountain? Because it's been years that I've been depending on Jeff. He was a leader, and I was always the follower, and somehow he would lead without you knowing you're the follower. You felt like the leader, but you were not the leader at all. But one thing I noticed reading all those condolences, all of the kind words and comforting words, and reflections on Jeff's life through the years, there was actually no mention of how incompassionate he was, tireless, grueling, trail climbing mountain biker. And like, there were so many times where we'd be riding, and I'd be saying, we gotta stop, and he'd say, it's just over that next hill. But he'd always have these words of encouragement that would get us over that hill, but then there'd be 3 more. And that was classic Jeff, and I'm sure anyone that's ridden with him here can relate to that. Most of the time I rode with Jeff, my view was of his back wheel, and like a sweat-drenched brow, trying to keep up to his back tire. Coming down, it was like, again, where the heck are you? I had to follow little dust plumes to know if he took that way or that way. And he'd always be at the next stop just waiting for me. Which, it always made me grow as a mountain biker. But he made me grow as well as a person because of a lot of these things that Ron talked about. You know, he was just always positive, always, whatever was going on in the world or our lives, there was a way to spin it into a positive. And that made the ride so good that it's going to be missed for sure by all of us. Many of you who have ridden with him, I don't know if there are lots of you or not, but he just loved the extendo. We'd finish a ride. I can see the parking lot. I'm tired. I just want to get to the car. And he'd say, oh, there's this new extendo that I found. And it would add 10 or 15 minutes more of hard work. But it always had about 5 minutes of fun coming down. These are some of Jeff's favorite trails up there. If you guys know them, you could clap if you want. Some of these I would dread when we get to the parking lot to start the ride and think, oh no, we're going to do that one. But like Swamp Thing, Captain Nemo, Boris and Natasha, Flamingo to Obelisk. That was a very hard one. Outhouse. There was one that he called the Three Stupids. I don't know what it is, but it was definitely three stupid. Why would you want to ride that? But I'm sure it's a trail on the mountain, a proper name, but that was his name. Rocky Screech, Vapor, Windfall, Full Fairlane. I know that's Tom and Jeff rode that all the time. I, again, could never keep up. For me, Jeff is physically gone, but I'm always going to draw from his encouragement. Whenever I'm faced with difficult, challenging trails. So I know that you guys are going to feel the same way. And I just hope that we won't forget them, and it'll take a long time. Thanks.
My name's Jason Sebanga. I've written mine. In this past week, I've done a lot of reflecting. I love Jeff. He was an incredible man, and I'd like to start with the quote that's on the back of his memorial card. When I close my eyes to sleep, I release to God all of the unfinished work of the day, and I trust him with my life. I am reminded of the fragileness of my life, my dependence on him. When I close my eyes to sleep, I am profoundly aware I may awake to see him face to face because he has called me home. Otherwise, I will awake in the morning to serve him on earth another day. Jeff had highlighted this in his devotional, and Kayla had sent it to a few of us the morning after Jeff's passing. As I read it, it really struck me the intentionality that Jeff lived his life with. Sorry. I had the great pleasure of working closely with Jeff at his time here with Metro, and I want to just say a few things about him. Jeff had vision. Jeff was not a man with a vision for personal success, wealth, or prestige. His vision was a glimpse of God's love. He would look for ways to care for people and see God's love fill the world around him. Jeff actively looked for ways to bring the kingdom of God to earth. He used his gifts and talents to do this in simple yet profound ways. This is the call of a Christian, to partner with God and to seek his will and see God transform the world around him. Jeff didn't care if you were wealthy or you were poor, you were vulnerable or you were powerful. No judgment, only love. He was intentional in every interaction. He looked for ways to serve every person who crossed his path, and he did so selflessly and humbly. Jeff's vision was fixed on trying to see what God wanted to bless you with today, and he truly lived out being the hands and feet of God. Jeff was a courageous leader. Jeff was a peacemaker, and he grieved conflict. This made leadership hard for him, but at the same time, it made him one of the most incredible leaders I've ever met. With his vision focused clearly on serving those around him, he stepped into his leadership role at Metro in a very challenging time. He never sought to be out front leading. He was much more comfortable being second in command, faithfully serving the mission. He had to take stands in his role as a leader that cost him personally, cost him friendships. He had scars from that time. But even though he hated conflict, he would never be afraid to stand up for what he believed was right. To stand in the gap for those who were vulnerable, he was willing to take significant personal pain to stand for what was right. That was his sacrificial love. That was his character. And he loved his family. He loved his wife, Brenda, so much. He served her, he loved her, and he did his best to demonstrate God's love to her. He loved his daughters, and he loved his son-in-laws, and his heart absolutely overflowed for his grandchildren. As passionate and committed as he was to the community, he was most naturally at home with his family. Today we mourn the loss of an incredible husband, father, grandfather, and friend. This hurts especially bad because we know that he was one of the great ones. He was easy to love. I have felt such tremendous loss and deep stinging pain. But I've come to recognize that it's only because I loved him, and that has given me the courage to sit in that. In amongst the feelings of pain, I've also experienced feelings of great joy. Joy because I know today he is in heaven. He had a vision of heaven on his heart, and he lived it every day of his life. He tried to bring it to earth every chance he had, and today he is experiencing glory. Glory that we cannot even imagine. On earth, we only get a glimpse through a foggy lens, but today he is home. I feel like I can see a glimpse of God looking down at him, proclaiming, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Thank you.
I'd like to first of all thank Greg Bauer for being the first one to come up and put some reading glasses on. I don't feel so bad now. It happens to the best of us. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate Jeff. We are all here because we love Jeff and the man that he was. No matter when you met Jeff in his life journey, he would have made a lasting impression. Interactions with Jeff were genuine and meaningful, and often very humorous. My son Cole sent me a message of encouragement for today's saying. One thing I've taken from Jeff and Papa Al is that no matter how hard it is, to not be afraid to get up and talk about someone who is important to you, whatever the occasion. It's my honor to stand up here today in front of you and talk about Jeff. Now, I'm going to take you back a few years to the days of a high-energy young man. My name is Doug Harrison. Jeff has been my best friend for 54 years. I met Jeff in the early 1970s at the first Ellison Cub Scouts, about the age of 7 or 8. My parents, brothers, Tom, Jeff, and I then soon moved to a new subdivision, the Hayashi subdivision, next to Jeff's family orchard, where his brother and sister-in-law, Larry and Wendy, still live. Living so close to Jeff and his parents, we became the best of friends. In grades 5 to 10, my brother Jeff and I would pick him up on our way to the bus stop. He and I were in most classes together. After school, we would have a snack. We'd jump on our Mustang banana seat bikes and terrorize the neighborhood. At the end of grade 10, as we both got our driver's license, just like a lot of the teenagers did back then, what do? We drive up and down Bernard Avenue in our cars like it was the only road in Kelowna. And then eventually join in the festivities like a lot of other teenagers did. Go to the Rutland Senior Bush parties during our last 2 years in high school. At school, Jeff made so many friends. He wanted to get to know people and spend time with them. These people were not limited to our grade, but both older and younger. It is great to see some of those individuals here today. I am sure these friends have great stories of Jeff and their adventures with him as well. It shows that no matter how we go our separate paths in life at a young age, we still care for each other, and the memories we shared are significant enough in our lives that we could still come together today and show our respect for Jeff and support his family. Through the school years, Jeff was a riot to hang out with. He was happy, energetic, enthusiastic, and very comical. He was quick with the jokes and comebacks, and a lot of you can probably see that same quality in both his daughters and grandchildren, even at a young age. As we became closer, both sets of our parents included each other, Jeff and I, in their activities. My favorite memories of being with Jeff and his parents are camping trips to White Lake, where we fished and water skied. His parents are so nice to me. The last time I saw his mom, she called me son. My parents already had 3 boys, and their thought was, if we can do all of these activities with 3, why not a 4th? Jeff became the 4th musketeer. Through our teen years, Jeff would join my parents and brothers on many camping and skiing trips. We often spent the weekend in our motorhome at Big White. After high school, we went on to our postgraduate education and occupations and would still spend a lot of time together, fishing, skiing, playing in the Kelowna Men's Soccer League, and mountain biking. As you can see from Jeff's belongings around me, he loved the outdoors. The only item we couldn't get up here today was his boat. There is a picture right here, though. When Lori and I returned home from our honeymoon in 1985, my brother Jeff told us that Jeff had met someone. After we were introduced to Brenda, we knew everything was about to change for the better. When we got married to our spouses, Jeff stood up for me and I for him. Our own individual family stories began. Carly and Kayla, we have seen you grow from little girls to beautiful women inside and out. The beautiful woman you are today, with families of your own. Your dad was so proud of you, and he beamed with excitement as he talked about his grandkids, and always quick to show photos and videos from his phone. Jeff has been with our family through many emotional situations and celebrations. With the passing of my brothers Jeff and Tom and my mom and dad, Jeff and Brenda supported us through these difficult times. My younger brother Jeff died in 1986. Jeff helped choose the music and songs my brother liked for the service. He was also a pallbearer with other school friends, and some of them are here today. In November of 2021, we asked Jeff to give the eulogy for my dad, Al, at his funeral. Without pausing, his response was, "I was hoping I would be asked because I've already been making notes for it." And it's true. There he was, ready to go all in, and he hadn't even been asked yet. On this weekend last year, the date June 4th, it was a very happy day for our family. Jeff officiated at the wedding of our son Owen and daughter-in-law Lindsay. He made it so special and personal. You could tell he was as excited about it as we were. Jeff has been there for our family many times through sorrow and joy, and he has never asked for anything in return. For this, we love him. Lori and I have seen Jeff and Brenda's faith and their community of friends grow in their journey. The outpouring of love and support this past week and here today is heartwarming. I was lucky enough to spend some private time on Tuesday morning with Jeff at Springfield Funeral Home. I put my hand on his chest and told him how much it has meant for me to have him as my friend. I thanked him for all that he has done for me and my family. I did tell him that I wish we had more time together on this earth. And I also told him one more time how much our family loved him. Just as taking a picture of a sunset does not do justice as seeing it with your own eyes, me telling you of how much having Jeff in our lives and how much he has helped us does not do justice of how we appreciate the love he has shown our family. To all of you here today, please remember to keep his memory alive. Say his name. Reminisce about the good times we all had with him and what a good person he was. Brenda, Carly and Sheldon, Hudson and Amelia, Kayla and Zach, Nora and Atticus, you are close. You do things together and take care of each other. Through your grief, you need to know that you need this more now than ever. We all feel your sorrow, and we are here for you. Jeff took time and made time for people. I think everyone who knew him would want to thank you for sharing him with us for these past 35 plus years as your family. Jeff, we were all better for having met you, better for knowing you, better for loving you. May you be as blessed in your next life, old friend, as we have been blessed having you in our lives. Thank you very much, Brenda, for this opportunity to share. Thank you.
down on my bended knees. I'm down on my bended knees, saying, Lord, won't you come by here? I'm down on my bended knee. Oh, Lord, say please, now is the needed time. Right now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Right now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Won't you come by here, even if you don't stay long? Won't you come by here? Jesus, if you don't stay long, even if you don't stay long, won't you come? 'Cause right now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Right now is the needed time. Now is a needed time.
Next person is Larry Simla. And then after that, we can just go down the list, right? Okay. They're all on the list. Larry. You gonna use the stage? Good.
To all that know me, I'm Larry Simla, Jeff's brother. Growing up over the years, we're like 11 years age difference. So we had, quite a bit of different friends as we were growing up. And we grew up on, my parents had a 30-acre orchard. So, I was busy working, helping my dad. Jeff was a lot younger. He got away with not having to do too much on the farm. But he was a smart one. He got a good education and proved to be very successful. And, you know, it's funny, back in the day, he'd come up. I remember one time there, we were out in the orchard, and somehow he had got the tractor started and was driving down the panel, and it was a good thing it was in a low gear because he plowed right into a tree. And my dad ran after him. He goes, like, you know, what are you doing? Like, what do you know, he never ever showed any interest in the farm at all, but he got onto this tractor. And then another time, we had this, like the picture of that green truck that's out there. My dad had bought a brand new set of tires for the thing, eh? Had them piled in the end shed. We go in there one day to put them on the truck, and one of the tires has got a big cut in the side, eh? Like somebody went in there with a handsaw. And, you know, Dad looked at me, and I go, I didn't do it. So then we go, hey, Jeff, did you cut this tire? Yeah. Well, why? Well, I just wanted to see, you know, what was inside there, like what was in the... I says, well, the tire's ruined now. I says, you know, Dad wasn't too happy. But, you know, he was a special guy, and, you know, he got away with it. But, you know, getting on, you know, Jeff, I remember another time he bought this motorcycle that my mom hated. And he was at the house there, and he goes, hey, you want to go for a ride? I said, sure. So I climb on the back, and he's just getting onto it, and the bike kind of leans over, and next thing you know, we're laying on the ground on this with his bike on top of us, eh? And he looks back, he goes, well, why didn't you put your foot down? And I go, well, I thought you were going to put yours down. So I never did get a ride on that bike. But, you know. But, you know, Jeff, you know, there's a few pictures of him there, you know, skiing on the kind of the bank at our orchard there. I think that's where he learned how to do all the sports, because he was a daredevil, eh? I know my dad, he'd go down, there was an auction dome there on Leithhead Road, and he'd go to the auctions, and he'd bring back used bike, you know, camping gear, these skis I think that Jeff had. And we'd make a trail out there somewhere where he could go down a bank and make a jump, and, you know, he wasn't afraid to try anything. So, you know, basically that's, I think, where he learned some of this talent he had. But, you know, in this last little while, we've had some pretty tough times in the Simla family with my sister passing, my mom, and Jeffrey. We came quite a bit closer because of our age difference when my mom became quite ill. And we spent a fair amount of time, him and I, with her. And we got to know each other again. You know, we did a little bit of fishing together and stuff like that. And he really enjoyed his fishing. He knew Woods Lake like the back of his hand there. Every time he went out, he'd have the downriggers ready, the lines ready to go. And I'm sitting there looking at him going, what, do you want me to make lunch? Because, you know, I felt useless out there, eh? Give me the rod, and away we went. But no, he was a great guy, and we're going to really miss him. And Brenda, you know, I don't know what to say to you, but we had a lot of condolences from family members, from Alberta, Montana even. We have cousins down there, and they all, you know, send their best to you and the family and all of us, eh? So I don't want to take up any more time, but, you know, thank you to everybody that showed up today. And, you know, like I say, you know, Jeff's a great guy, and we're all really going to miss him. Thank you.
Kind of sucks, eh? I'd love to do something that I always tried to do with Jeff, and he found it very annoying, which is that I was always trying to get him to breathe better. because his nose was so clogged up. And every time we watch shows, if you ever watch a show with him, you'd look over at him, he'd be awake. Come on, Jeff. I want everybody to take a deep breath with me through your nose. I'll count to 5 with my hands, and we're going to let it all out for 5 seconds as well, okay? You ready? 3, 2, 1. I was reminiscing on the last thing I spoke with Jeff about, and this is hilarious. It was taxes. Comedic, eh? Two most certain things. Taxes and death. It's unbelievable. I was asking him for advice because I always ask Jeff for advice, because when I thought of Jeff, I thought of him as someone that I respected on so many levels, and we would have these incredible discussions together in his infrared sauna, and we'd be talking about podcasts back and forth, and we'd be talking about life and marriage and faith. And this was my father-in-law. I couldn't believe it. I won the lottery. I mean, everyone in here knows what father-in-laws can be like, and mother-in-law relationships. It can be tough, right? It's just the way it is. Sometimes it can be really tough. And I just never felt that way with Brenda and Jeff. I can't believe I get to have them as my family. And Jeff and I would share all these fantastic conversations back and forth throughout the 15 years that I've gotten to know him. And one conversation we had a little while ago, this was when Brenda's father passed away, Jim Bifford. And we were chatting. We were in this truck, in this Toyota truck that a lot of you would recognize. And we're chatting and hanging out. And I said, man, this is just so early. And I know you're going to hate me saying this. But when you get to a place where you're older, it will be my honor to look after you. I just wanted to say that to him because I thought, it's like, this is a man that I love so much. And no offense to anyone who, puts their parents in places. I'm not judging you or anything, but I thought I would never, ever do that. It's like, oh. Anyway, I love making plans. That didn't get to happen. I wanted to do that for him. I'm a bit of a control freak. And so I really I didn't plan this out, that's a little morbid, but I definitely thought about it thinking I really wanted to honor Brenda and Jeff and do this and live in community with them and look after them. So anyway, I was thinking about what Scripture says about taking care of orphans and widows in their distress, and that's true religion. Anyone else know that passage? Raise your hand if you know it. True religion. And I've had a lot of discussions with my friends in the past about religion, about how much they can't stand this idea of religion. And I want you to know something, that this Jeff that I got to call my father-in-law, he stood for something. And I want you to raise your hands again. Every time I say something, if you want that in your life, if you already have that in your life, raise your hand. If you want unconditional love in your life, raise your hand. If you want justice for everyone, raise your hand. If you want forgiveness and peace in your heart, raise your hand. And everything else you can imagine that goes along with that. That's the Jesus that Jeff tried to serve and did. And so I will continue to make that my life's endeavor as well, right? And so if you're in here and you don't know that, or you've given up on that, I'm not trying to soapbox here. I'm just doing what I think Jeff would be down with, which is I want to invite you in that opportunity to reinvestigate that. Because all those things that you just raised your hands to, that's the Jesus that I know, and that's the Jesus that Jeff served. And so if you're angry about it, listen, I'm a challenger, sorry. I like to challenge people as much as I can because I see something in everyone here, and I can't believe you're all here. This is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing that you're all here. But I want to challenge you with that because I saw that in Jeff so clearly in every conversation. Man, this guy wasn't perfect. He had so many things that he wanted to probably work on. I guarantee it, right? He didn't want to go so soon and leave these things unfinished. But that's not the way Jesus works. It's finished. And so I want to encourage you in that if you don't know that, I want to encourage you to step toward that. If you want, what do you got to lose, right? So anyway, I love all of you so much, and Jeff loves you so much. And I'm just so thankful to be up here right now to be able to share this. What an incredible man. Can we give an applause for Jeff? Thank you. I love you, Jeff.
I'm Sheldon, Jeff's son-in-law, and I'm just so honored to speak about Jeff today. The amount of community that I've witnessed this last week at the home is the ultimate testament of who Jeff was without any other words spoken. I look around this room and I see the impact of this man's legacy. The word that speaks the most loudly to me when I think of Jeff is faithful. He was really faithful to everything. I was so proud to watch that faithfulness to Brenda and his family, as he would really be a chameleon and put everyone's needs above his own. He truly was the best papa, as you've heard echoed here today, to his grandchildren, and my images of that are just so strong. He had no time limit on playing with them or teaching them, never seeming to tire. It was like they entered the world of Jeff playtime every time they were with him in his backyard. Just 2 weekends ago in Vancouver, he spent 3 hours with my son Hudson at the park, to my point where my wife wondered where they might be, but they were just still playing. As we know, he was very faithful to this ministry. After a workday here at Metro, he would tell me such a brilliant full scope of what was developing in the making of this building become a reality, who was in need, and who was in need later that evening. I can't tell you how many times he came home tired, got back in his truck to help someone else, as well as its future vision. It was astonishing how he just accomplished everything. He carried that same passion and what he was envisioning in his last post at Rempel as well. I had the pleasure of personally going on many adventures with Jeff. In previous years, him and I had season passes to Big White, and because we would ski on non-weekend days, we often had the place to ourselves. I can't tell you how many sunny sky views we had, the countless runs we put in cheering on powder days. I will cherish those days forever. However, I didn't realize that Jeff was becoming a bit of a self-proclaimed meteorologist when we were at the mountain. I have no idea where this came from, Brenda. He would say things like, "Hey, Sheldon, this northern pressure wind system is creating a ridge of precipitation and may shift in an hour, and the sun UVs would hit the snow by 2 p.m., allowing for special softness, but if the wind comes in, we're going to have ice." I would just nod my head. Then we were caught in a blizzard, and our ski jackets were literally accumulating snow every 30 seconds, with our faces buried in our jackets. He was about to go on another meteorologist rant. He said, "Yeah, I think this is that pressure ridge." And I abruptly cut him off, and I said, "Yes, Jeff, it's snowing." We fished a great amount too. Perfect calm waters with classic rock. Every morning we go out, he'd say, "Have you heard this Boston album?" And I said, "Every time." He also became a self-proclaimed fishing gear wizard. I won't spend time quoting those descriptions, but there were 3 rods with 3 different setups at all times. It worked sometimes. I was able to give Jeff a salmon fishing charter where Zach and I and him went off the coast of Vancouver and caught a lot of Chinook salmon, pictured there by the flowers. It was important for Chinook to be set extremely fast to ensure the catch. When Jeff was up next, he had already taken a huge bite of a sandwich in his mouth, and when the salmon hooked on and he ran over to attend it, he stored the sandwich in the side of his mouth like a chipmunk while he reeled in for 10 minutes. He claimed this was so he could focus instead of spitting it out. I'm not sure how it would help, but it was hilarious. But he lost the fish, so. He was so full of life, and that's one of the reasons this hurts so much. One thing I learned after speaking at my father's funeral is that it's important we celebrate all parts of a man's life, even the difficult parts. So if there's any parts that anyone knew that were hard for him, I know we can now celebrate those as part of his life and know that those are now at peace. To my wife, Carly, to Brenda, to Kayla, and all the family, my heart aches for you. Jeff, I promise to help take care of your family. Jeff always said to me, he's the God of surprises. What do you have for me today, Lord? I'll remember that. We're all going to have to learn how to live without Jeff. A passage that brings some comfort for grief reads, "Grief doesn't end, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love." Rest well, Brother Jeff. I love you, and I'll see you on those heavenly slopes.
This is really hard. On behalf of our family, we are so honored that you are here. I'm blown away by the amount of people and online watching. I didn't write anything because I decided in the middle of feeding our 5-week-old that I wasn't going to speak. My dad came into my life when I was 2.5 years old. And it was the father that I never had. And I am forever grateful for the gift that God gave me in him. I know everyone thinks that they have the best dad. He was the epitome of an amazing father. There wasn't anything he wouldn't do for us at any time, at any hour. He loved us so much, and we knew it all the time. One thing that was really special for my dad and I towards the latter years here is when he worked at Metro and I for the Union Gospel Mission on the downtown east side in Vancouver. And there would be often days and nights where we would text and say, oh, this is what we're doing and this is how we're enrolling and, you know, rolling out this and this is what we've done here. And, oh, this person left the Metro community. Maybe you can keep an eye out for them. And it was a real special thing that we had. We would send articles and readings and encourage each other in that beautiful but tough work. Mm-hmm. He will be loved. His grandchildren will know him. His name will be spoken in our home. I know that you are with the Father in heaven, and you are happy and you are rejoicing, but my Lord, this is one of the most painful things I have ever experienced. And I will never forget last Saturday. I was feeding Amelia. And Sheldon had been at soccer with Hudson. And Sheldon came into the bedroom white as a ghost. And he said, I need you to take a deep breath. And I thought, oh, Lord. Something had happened to Hudson at soccer. And he said, it's about your dad. And my heart instantly knew. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for being his friend. He was a good man, and if you take anything away today, take away the love of Jesus that he had, and that we are to love everyone. Thank you.
I'm not talking, I'm just gonna sing later.
It's a real honor and pleasure to be here today, and I thank the family for giving me an opportunity to speak. It's not easy. This isn't easy. Last Saturday was a gut punch, like nothing I've ever felt. Dear friend, I met Jeff back in probably the mid-90s. Willow Park Church, struck up a friendship right away, spent some time together, did some things together, and probably in about 4 or 5 years, life just took a change, and we went different directions. And I said over the years to my wife, I said, I got to reach out to Jeff. I want to rekindle that friendship. Time goes by. Years go by. And then it came the part where my kids were growing up and my youngest daughter was getting married. I said, I'm going to reach out to Jeff. I would love Jeff to marry my daughter. So I reached out, and Jeff said it would be an absolute honor to do it. And so that's the beginning. That's when we started to, got back together and started to rekindle a friendship. And like I said earlier, on that marriage day, it was just such a special day. He took time with the kids. He counseled them. He loved them. No judgment, but just, encouraged. And it's a memorable day we'll never forget. After that, we started to spend a bit more time together. Did some fishing trips. Larry, I can attest to everything he said about being on the boat. So true. You get on that boat, you feel completely useless. You just have to reel a rod. That's all you had to do. And Jeff always had a special sauce, right? He just knew how to put that special sauce onto that bait. And I couldn't make fun about it because it worked. I was on a Soyuz Lake with him. I took him salmon fishing on a Soyuz Lake last summer. And I have all my gear, and just like Jeff, this is my boat, this is the way we do it. Had our hoochies on, had our flashers on. We weren't getting much action. We weren't getting any bites, right? I see this little special sauce in the back of his pocket. And I'm thinking, okay. And he looks at me, and I said, no, you don't need that. And after about an hour, he takes it out, and he puts it on his hoochie, throws it out, gets a fish. I said, that's just luck. Right? Second one, I said, hand me that stuff. And we had an awesome day. Over those times, I got to share with Jeff. He shared what he was doing, and I got to share what I was doing, and he was just so passionate about Metro. He loved Metro. He loved the people of Metro. He loved this community. And he couldn't stop talking about it. And everybody here, it's amazing to me when you look around at the effect that one man can have. There's probably close to 500 people here. If every one of us could do the same thing and have that impact on 500 people, that's 250,000 people. That's a community. That's a full community. And that was Jeff's passion. Jeff's passion was all about community. So I had an opportunity to share what I was doing, and I had a really unique opportunity to work within the First Nations with a number of communities, an initiative about developing business and opportunity. And we had a long talk one day on Woods Lake. And I kind of put it out there, and I said to my wife, I'm going to kind of put it out there to Jeff, because I thought it would be so wonderful to work with a guy like Jeff. Got home, my wife says, how did it go? I said, didn't get a bite. About a week goes by, phone rings, it's Jeff. Hey, Reg, talking about there last week. He said, I'd like to have a coffee and talk some more. I said, that'd be awesome. So we did. And he was really torn because he loved this place so much, and he poured so much of his life into it. But he really felt that he was at a place in his life that it was time for the next step. And he had an opportunity to work within the First Nations. With Jeff, there was no First Nations, us, them, nothing else. We're all community. But he just thought if I could get an opportunity to work within that, it would be just awesome. So he came on board. And we worked together, and I'm blessed because I had 8 months with Jeff. I think, Brenda, you get a little jealous because I was spending 8 hours a day with him for 5 days a week. That's a long time. But I got probably 3 years of friendship in 8 months from Jeff. But Jeff's impact on people is what just impacted me. Just the other day, we had a gentleman that we're working with, a vendor that we've been talking with, and he said, hey, I want to come and meet your team, and I want to buy you guys lunch. I said, that'd be awesome. So he came all the way from Williams Lake, just to come and buy us lunch, and I was in a meeting. And so Jeff sat there with Brock, and they were talking. I came out of the meeting, and we had lunch, and we had just a fantastic time. And Tuesday, I had the emails, Jeff's emails directed to me after, which was difficult. But all of a sudden, this email popped up. Brock Smith. Hey, Jeff, want to let you know I got that book. And he had a picture of the book. He says, I'm so thrilled that you shared this, and I look so forward to you mentoring me and talking more. I had to pick up the phone. I had to phone Brock. And Brock said, Reg, that man, in 1/2 hour, the impact that he had on my life, I will carry for the rest of my life. That's who Jeff Simla is. And I could tell you story after story of the people that he's had contact with. So we've all been fortunate to have a piece of Jeff in our life. And what matters is what we do with that piece that we've been given. So we want to honor him. We want to see community go forward. We want to see love. We want to see forgiveness. We want to see fulfillment. And that's how I'm going to honor my friend Jeff. Thank you. Brenda? Oh, one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, come on up. This is about you. It was a comment made. We were sitting with Brenda. I think it was on Tuesday. Jason and I were sitting and talking a little bit, talking about community and how much Jeff was in community. And Brenda said, sometimes you just felt it was too much community, right? Well, I want to say to Brenda that I've been in many offices, right? Jeff's desk has a picture of you, dead center of the desk. Every time he would come and sit down, every time he would lift his head to look up, he looked at you. He loved you.
Thanks, Reg. Oh, I forgot my glasses.
No, we need glasses.
Sorry, I'm a little forgetful these days. Okay. Okay.
Did you do that?
Yep. I'm going to tell you what happened last Saturday morning because I want the story to be straight. Jeff had come home from a ride. He went out on his ride at 7 o'clock in the morning. He was home by 8:30. That never happened. I had little Addie with me because we had a busy day and I needed to watch Addie. And Jeff come home. He said, oh, my chest just doesn't feel right. And it's weird because I heard it, but there was this thing in me where I just didn't take it serious enough. And it was really quick. It went from that to, do you want to go to the walk-in? No, I need more than that. Okay, so I went, then I started to not know what I was doing. That's when I know I'm scared. And I had Addie, and I said, okay. And like not even a minute later, he says, call an ambulance. And I still wasn't there. He went and lie down on the couch, and he says, I need a cold cloth. And he was sweating profusely. And then he died. The ambulance got there at the same time. I don't believe he was alive when the ambulance got there. They tried very hard. They tried 45 minutes. One of the trauma nurses said to me, they tried 2 times, but it was weak. His heart, it was a weak pulse. But I knew in my heart, by the look of the police, by the look of the nurses that were there, or the paramedics, whatever you call them, I knew he was gone. I was angry. I'm still in disbelief. But I know where he is, and I have that assurance. Right now, it doesn't feel like enough. We are going to miss him so much. It was too soon. We still had to go on the boat. We still had things to do. Needless to say, the people around me this week has been good, sad, but not without all the love I've ever imagined. That is really hard to accept. Just to accept that love that was there and how much they loved Jeff. And so for me, I was feeling guilty because I could be a bit hard on him. Like was said up here, he didn't like conflict. And he would remain quiet and I would talk. When he knew when I was serious, then he would talk and we would share. Jeff and I have had a lot of ups and downs in our life. But with God with us, we were doing well the last few years. We taught each other so much. And everything I've heard here today, he was that man to the point of sometimes, and it's okay, I get it. I get it now, I get it now. That's where the guilt comes in. He loved us, I know that, but he also loved people and community. And I will miss him. But before I say anything more, first and foremost, I really want to thank God this week for the overwhelming love. My daughters for their love. I have the best, I do. I'm just going to say it. I have the best daughters. Their spouses for being there for me. Jason, where are you? You and Reg. I couldn't. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Dina. Where's Dina? Dina?
She's with the grandchild.
Oh,
There she is.
okay. Thanks for letting Reg come to see me. And this beautiful community. You have no idea how thankful I am for the food, the flowers, but especially the prayers. I have felt them. And for always loving my husband, I just want to say thank you.
Farther along, I know all about it. Farther along, understand why. So cheer up, my brothers, live in the sunshine. Will understand this all by and by. Tempted and tried, I wonder just cries 'cause he loves them both. We're all castaways in need of rope, hanging on by the last threads of our hope. In a house, a mirror full of smoke, confusing illusions I've seen. But where did I go wrong? I sang along to every chorus of the song that the devil wrote like a piper at the gate, leading my some men down to their fate. Some will courageously escape the seductive voice with the heart of faith, while walking the line back home. There's so much more to life than we've been told. It's full of beauty that will unfold and shine like you struck gold, my wayward son. The dead weight burden weighs a ton. I'll go down to the river and let it run, wash away all the things you've done. Forgiveness, alright. Farther along, know all about it. Farther along, understand why. So cheer up, my brothers, live in the sunshine. We'll understand this all by and by. Oh yeah. La 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 la. But still I get hard-pressed on every side, between the rock and the compromise, like truth in a pack of lies fighting for my soul. I got no place left to go, 'cause I got changed by what I've been shown. It's more glory than the world has known. It keeps me rambling on and skipping like a calf loosed from his stall. I'm free to love once and for all, and even when I fall, I get back up for the joy that overflows my cup. Heaven filled me with more than enough, broke down my levees and my bluffs, let the flood wash me. And one day when the sky rolls back on us, some rejoice and the others fuss, 'cause every knee must bow and tongue confess the Son of God, he's forever blessed. His is the kingdom and we're the guests. So put your voice up to the test, sing Lord come soon. Oh yeah. Farther along, know all about it. Farther along, understand why. So cheer up, my brothers, live in the sunshine. We'll understand this all by and by.
Well, Jeff was the best, wasn't he? And he sure had his shirt off a lot. Well, I'm going to close in prayer, and we're going to hear a very special song from his daughter. So why don't you guys come on up, and you can, get ready for that, and I'm going to pray. So would you pray with me? Jesus, we thank you for Jeff. God, we thank you that before you created the world, that you knew him. God, we thank you that he's always been your boy. And God, thank you that he's safe. Thank you, God, that you say that there's nothing that can separate us from your love, not even death. God, I thank you for every person that has come today. Thank you, Jesus, for beautiful community. Thank you, God, that everyone here in the same way was created before you created the world, God. That you knew each one of us, you delight in each one of us, and you are the God that is love. And you demonstrated that in our wonderful brother, Jeff. Father, I pray that we would know you better. Jesus, I pray that you would draw extra close to Brenda in this season. You are the one that comforts. Thank you for her and for her strength, for her wisdom. God, for Zach and Kayla and the kids, I pray that you draw extra close, God. For Carly and Sheldon, thank you, Jesus. We are so rich for knowing this family. Thank you that you made us to be together, Jesus. I pray that you draw this community together closer, Father. Jesus, I pray for the many that are grieving that aren't here. Father, would you come and be close to us, Jesus? We love you and we want more of your presence. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I'm just going to give my heart rate a second. I usually sing at home or with my dad or with a couple people. It's my journal. It's not really a stage thing for me. But it kind of feels different now because I'm realizing that the stage thing was just stupid fear. And why not sing my heart out to the one that holds my dad? So with that, if it sounds, whatever. I know your life on earth was trouble, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You're no stranger to the rain. So go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father
A couple of things. We have 350 bakery donuts here. That is one of Jeff's favorites. I remember going to him. He ordered 36 of them on a Saturday morning, and we ate them together. I never felt that great after that. And the other thing we have is we have Korean food, because he loved Korean food, from Jay's Cafe to on the other side. And it's going to be a great thing. So please stick around for a while. Jeff had a great sense of humor, because he would have loved to tell me today we had a real good togetherness together, because I have a slight accent, so he made fun of that, and I finally started to accept it quite a bit. So we have 3 lines up, so you don't have to worry about it. Don't forget the cards and video. If you want to say something or write something, that would be great. And I can say on behalf of all of us that I feel really honored that we were invited to join the family this afternoon, remembering Jeff. So I thank you so much for inviting me too. I feel really honored. Thank you. That's all I have to say, basically. So hang around. Don't run away right away, but just stick around, have one of those lovely donuts and some Korean food, and there's other stuff too. All right? Thank you.